What's going on? Welcome back to my channel, man. Listen, man. So I know y'all seen this from this guy, man, Akaash Singh, man. He's a comedian, and so he's kind of funny or whatever. I'm not a big fan of him or whatever, you know what I mean? But he is funny. Some of the shows that I did see him on the podcast and stuff like that he's on. But it seems last 6 months ago that his wife, man, his wife was talking crazy online on her podcast and stuff about their relationship and how she used to pop it in college and stuff like that. And this girl's supposed to be a virgin or whatever before they got married. But it seems that all the stuff that she's been saying online kind of embarrassed this guy. You know what I mean? It really embarrassed this guy. And it's saying now that he's kind of talking and saying that, you know what? People talk about my wife and stuff like that. And you can see in this video that he's kind of looking down on himself, like, damn, you know what she said kind of hurt me. But then again, I'm not gonna come out in public and say that because this guy's married. You know what I mean? This guy, he's a breadwinner, but your wife coming out talking crazy is wild. So we're gonna react to this video, man, by American Redact, man. So I'm gonna react to this video. Pretty good YouTuber. Let's get into it, yo.
First week this was happening, she goes, you know what, baby? God knows what's true. We know what's true.
That's right.
What else matters? Who cares what anybody thinks? And I was like, I care. What are you talking about? There's a side of me that's like, maybe it's a short guy thing, but I really identify with like Kendrick Lamar, where it's like, if we want beef, I'll destroy everything. I'll burn everything down. There's a little part of me that's pre-therapy.
No, we don't want that.
That's like, I don't care about the money. I don't care about whatever. You came at my wife. Let's just burn it all down.
Alright, so it's been around 5 months since we all sat back and witnessed the brutal humiliation ritual of Akaash Singh, which of course happened after his wife essentially tarnished his reputation in a lousy attempt to become an influencer, which got so embarrassing for Akaash that he eventually had to step away from the Flagrant podcast, as he hasn't done an episode since last Christmas, which he of course blames on his current comedy tour, but we all know it's because his wife exposed him for being a human doormat and her personal ATM.
How do you and your husband split finances?
We don't. This is not a two-way street. This is a one-way street. His money is our money, and my money is my money.
For those of you who are new,
That's basically how a lot of women think in today's society, man. You know what I mean? She can be home and stuff like that. This guy can work his behind off. So everything that he makes comes home to her. You know what I mean? Like, we can't even touch her money. And you got to think, like, listen, if they break up or whatever, get a divorce, she's going to be taken care of because she already got her money, and she's going to get some of your money, spouse support, child support, all type of stuff. Crazy.
New Year. Hi, my name is Justine. I'm a stay-at-home wife, but I don't cook or clean because I don't feel like it. And my husband is a full-time stand-up comedian, and he buys me lots of nice things.
So she basically made Akaash's whole fan base boot him off the internet. And based on this recent interview, it honestly seems like he's still having a super rough time with it all. Because if you guys don't remember, the craziest thing his wife did last year was when she constantly fantasized about other men on her podcast and bragged about all the fun she had in the frat houses back in college, which in and of itself was completely humiliating for Akaash, as he was under the impression that she was a virgin when they first met.
My wife also hadn't had any sexual partners, so that helped us connect a lot more.
Now, let me ask you this, do you believe her?
I was popping my pussy and living my best life in these white boy frat houses, and
Yo, yo. Your wife come out talking like that right there. You think she's a virgin? Come on now. Chat. What y'all think? That's crazy.
I had a roster of guys that I would rotate through. So it's like,
So after that story spread like wildfire across social media, it quickly became the only thing he was known for. Like nowadays, more people recognize Akaash for being a simp rather than a stand-up comedian. He's essentially the podcast Will Smith. I mean, even to this very day, the comment section under each and every Flagrant episode is absolutely flooded with people clowning on Akaash and his marriage, even though he hasn't done an episode for over 4 months now. So this really didn't disappear like he thought it would. And it absolutely altered the man's image for the very worse.
I'm a hustler who scams a little bit. I'm not a scammer who hustles.
I'm not gonna lie, that was sexy, and that's why I'm actively trying to have an orgy.
And this is her friend's husband that's talking. This is her friend. This is Akash's wife right here. But this is her friend's husband that's talking, and she fantasized about having sex with him. Crazy.
I just know that Nav's dick is like at least 10 inches.
So once he realized that there really wasn't anything he could do to salvage his dying reputation, he pretty much buried his head in the sand, quit the podcast, and proceeded to blame his absence on the comedy tour that he's doing right now, which is, of course, a pretty pathetic excuse. Because nearly every single comedian you see doing a weekly podcast is doing a comedy tour at the exact same time. Because, believe it or not, it turns out podcasting is literally the easiest job in the world. The real reason Akaash is not on Flagrant anymore is because the dynamic he used to have with Andrew Schultz and the other co-hosts is permanently screwed. I mean, they would essentially have to tiptoe around making fun of the guy and his relationship because he's just way too sensitive about it, which he makes pretty obvious in this recent interview he did with Hot 97, where he basically just embodies that meme of that guy sobbing behind a smiley face mask. Like he's clearly infuriated by this entire thing, and sadly enough, he's actually forced himself to believe that the only reason he received any backlash was because he's super famous.
You know you need to thank her, right?
All the time. I buy her nonstop things.
I know. I see her. I love her, by the way.
She loves you. She and I have a relationship where it's like, I don't give a what you say. She doesn't give a what I say. I have her location. She has my location. Every time if you look at 90% of her TikToks, they're on our couch. Like, she don't go nowhere without me. So I'm like, whatever you say. I don't care. I know you. But the internet just ran with it and made it a thing. And at first, it really like f***ed me up.
I wanted to ask you, how did you really feel? Because like, I can't ever gauge because you are a comic. You're
Grant, this woman here, she's Colin Kaepernick's wife now. I think they married or they engaged. Colin Kaepernick is a former football player, played for the 49ers, and he kind of got kicked out the league because he kneeled during the national anthem.
so good at this. You do have thick skin.
Yeah.
I have seen, well, like, meaning for the most part, the success that you have had, I don't know. I don't feel like things really phase you like that. So I couldn't gauge if it really hurt.
I was deeply phased.
But what hurt you about?
It's just they're saying it about your wife. And I think the stuff they say about me will make me insecure. But when you're saying this about my wife and you're calling her all this vile stuff, people were messaging my mom and her mom saying she's a whore, she's this, she's that. It was like, yo, this is.
But he got to remember that his wife came out and said that stuff. Nobody forced his wife to say none of that stuff. She was on a podcast, online, you know what I mean, got the cameras in her face and stuff like that. She said all that stuff. You know what I mean? You got to understand that he's not famous, but he's a good comedian or whatever. You know what I mean? Subpar. I'm not a fan. But anyway, he's a comedian and he know a lot of people and he know about the internet, especially in 2026 or whatever, 21st century, whatever. This is the internet. Anything you put online, people are going to judge you for. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is crazy. So he should already know that. You know, he should have told his wife, listen, if none of this is serious, he should have told his wife, like, listen, man, I know you're joking well, but let's tone it down. You know what I mean? Because people out here is crazy and they going with it, and you know what I mean? And now they calling his family and stuff like that. So it's like you should have told your wife to tone it down what she's talking about. Even if it's not true. You know what I'm saying? You should have told your wife to tone it down or stop, don't even talk. Don't even talk crazy. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy how far this has gone. And everything she gets said, y'all are chopping up. And I've probably done this to 1,000 famous people, so I don't knock the people who did it.
Sure.
But it did let me, I think God does everything for a reason, and I think for me, this was God's way. Because this is how I found out I had some level of fame.
So once you hear this insane cope of his, it's just really hard to feel bad for the guy. Like, he truly believes that his wife's an angel who's done absolutely no wrong. And the only reason they received any backlash was because they're so famous and important. Which is just so funny because before this humiliation tour, Akaash was only really known for being Andrew Schultz's yes man, who would laugh like a hyena and slap his knee whenever Schultz would breathe. But don't... Like, that was pretty much the extent of his presence online. So if anything, the story about his wife ruining his career was more famous than anything he's ever done. But of course, Akaash chalks it up to him just being an absolute world-famous A-list comedian.
This is recent.
Yeah.
So you're just realizing your fame now?
I didn't know, because people would be like, what was your I made it moment? I was like, I haven't made it. What are you talking about? And now it's like, well, when the whole world called my wife a whore, I realized I'm doing okay.
That you've made it.
Yeah, that's how I found out. But I think it was just like, I'm watching them say this about her. Y'all don't know her. You're doing it off a 2-minute TikTok. That's right. I know this woman, and I read people pretty well. That's kind of like what most of my clips are about.
Right. I'm
not that big of a moron that a girl would lie to me for 14 years or whatever, 10 years, about being a virgin, and I would not even bother watching her TikToks to find out she talks about getting, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
none of this, how are we believing this? I couldn't understand it.
And so, constantly during this interview, he bounces back and forth between the ideas that his wife was completely joking and that she was just being true to herself with everything she said, which automatically confirms that this guy is struggling to face reality even to this very day. Like, even though he swears that she never lied to him about being a virgin, the truth is simply out there for everyone to see. Like, she was never trying to be a comedian in any of these videos. She actually seemed to be trying to go down this girl boss influencer route, and it honestly appeared as if she was trying to make her terrible podcast into a cheaper version of the Call Her Daddy podcast, which revolves around gossiping and telling raunchy true stories about their past lives.
And I made the dumb mistake of letting him sleep over, like not really wanting to fucking hook up. And I like woke up in the morning and like my asshole was a little sore. Oh my God.
So it's just hilarious to hear Akaash say that his wife was just being a comedian and telling fake stories, then immediately following it with she was bravely being her true self, and that she was so courageous to double down with who she truly is. Like, the mental gymnastics that he's doing here is simply out of control.
I get it. How did she feel about everything?
She was, I mean, look, it affected her for sure, but she said, this is where I don't like, I wish people knew, and I said this to her before she started doing social media. She's the most like multi-dimensional person I know, where she pops off, says crazy shit, says disrespectful shit, but also is so spiritual, so grounded, and so like she just kind of kept that energy. She was like, whatever y'all think about me is whatever y'all think about me. I know who I am. God knows who I am. That's it.
She put it out there. She said this stuff, man. Like, that's why I don't understand what is he talking about, because like she put this stuff out there, which she been saying. You know what I mean? She said this about her. You know what I mean? A guy fingered her in college, and that's why her butt was hurt when she woke up that next morning. She said that. She was popping her, you know what I mean, with a lot of guys at the frat parties. She said this stuff. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
I love that.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's stressful, and like I had to realize there's a lot of people's voices in your ear, like talking in your ear, like she needs to do this, she needs to do that, and then I had to realize like she's the one that's actually strong and courageous, and the rest of us are like running and hiding and going dark and blah blah blah. And she's like, no, I know who I am. Go f yourselves. Yeah.
So as you can tell, guys, Akaash probably knows deep down that his wife leeches off of him and treats him like trash. He's known this forever, and was just lucky that she kept it behind closed doors all this time. The fact that she aired everything out to the public last November, though, and exposed his truly miserable existence, is really the only thing getting to him. With that being said, though, I think this was all inevitable, and that the people around him, like Andrew Schultz and all of Akaash's buddies, are probably pretty happy that this all came out. Because apparently they tried a bunch of times during Flagrant to hint at him that he's getting stepped on by Jesslyn. Like, they desperately wanted everyone to know this, but they just couldn't break the story because he's their friend.
Keep your wife off the internet.
right?
Why does your wife have a microphone in her?
Exactly, man. Like, wife talking crazy. That's what, you know, a lot of famous guys, man, sports athletes, movie stars, whatever, they wife don't be talking like this. You know what I mean? Like, look at LeBron James' wife. You rarely hear anything about her, but now she kind of got a podcast. So I don't know. Maybe she started saying some crazy stuff when he retired, but this is crazy.
Her face. Do not allow your wife to start a motherfucking podcast, bro. Yes.
But at the very least, it seems like Akaash is starting to try and grow from this, but sadly enough, no matter how much he tries, there is still absolutely nothing he can do to change his ungrateful wife and her obsession with his money. Because unlike Akaash, it seems like she's literally incapable of reflecting on her own actions or taking even a shred of accountability in this entire thing. Because as long as she gets to sit around her penthouse and incinerate Akaash's Patreon money, she has no reason to change. And she made this pretty obvious in this recent podcast she did about a month ago, where she blamed all the backlash on the fans of the Flagrant podcast, labeling them as racist and right-winged, which is such a pathetic cop-out.
I know the periphery of Akaash's fan base, which is, I will say, more of the podcast fan base. And I know a lot of people during like our controversy were saying like, oh, it's because of his fans. It's because of his fans. Like, his comedy fans are not like that. It's more the podcast fan base that I don't think really resonate with him, because a lot of them are like really racist and right wing. I think like those of them are more like that. But yeah, anyways, I said like those peripheral fans, like they might come at us just because we're brown girls being opinionated and they don't like opinionated women.
So it seems like every time she opens her mouth, she somehow digs Akaash's
Why?
grave even deeper than it was before. Because beyond the fans of Flagrant bashing her for her own actions, she seems to be forgetting that essentially the entire world joined in with them too. Like this wasn't a racist, right-winged attack. It was actually more of a universal understanding. I mean, for a couple weeks there, everyone from all corners of the internet came together to agree that this woman is a soulless monster. There were even a bunch of female Indian influencers who called her out for it, saying that they don't claim her and that she's giving Indian women a really bad reputation. So for her to claim that this was a coordinated attack by misogynistic, right-winged men really just shows you how clueless she really still is.
Remember, because you asked me this question, like, what is it like to look at like think pieces and people analyzing your marriage and your personality? It feels weird and it feels surreal because you're like, but you don't know me. You don't know anything about me. You've never talked to me. Like, you're taking the intention of this video in the complete wrong way. And I mean, this obviously.
But how can she say that though? Like everything that you put online, you saying this stuff. Nobody forced you to say that. I keep saying like nobody forced her to say this stuff. Like, why she not understand this? Why not her husband understand? Like, your wife is talking crazy on the internet, so they give people to talk and give their opinion on your relationship. You know what I mean? Not trying to. There's no racist people talking about y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's people that give an opinion saying, "Dude, this is your wife. She's embarrassing you." You know what I mean? Like, it is crazy.
Obviously goes without saying, but the misogyny was like really crazy because obviously we know it exists in our society, but to see it so rampant and like full force and just like unapologetically there, I was like, oh my God, like this is a real fucking thing. And it's like, it was bizarre to me because I'm like, my husband can go on stage and literally has a joke in his special about like, getting a hooker isn't like cheating, it's just outsourcing, which I really don't care. Like, I think it's a funny joke, but it's like, if I say something that's equally, you know, raunchy, like, then I'm a whore or all these things.
It's just pretty unfortunate that Myron Gaines, out of all people, was the first one to break this story, because she now feels justified in falling back on this terrible excuse of everyone being racist women haters against her. But it's not like everyone's siding with Myron by pointing out the insanity of Jasleen and Akaash. Like, you don't really have to align yourself with what Myron Gaines stands for to see that he was completely accurate during his coverage of this story. Jasleen simply just jumping through every hoop she can think of here.
I don't even want to say his fucking name, but this fucking loser whose name you said, like, he was on the Flagrant podcast like 5 fucking years ago. And my husband just humbled the shit out of him and basically embarrassed him because he was like, I think what you do is corny and it's not really helping men. So there's that. And I think every year he would try to like bait them by being like, oh, you guys are pussies or you guys are this. But then every year that clip would circulate. And I think deep down it really embarrassed and humiliated and emasculated him. So when all of this first started, it was like very clear to see that there was like a lot of bot farming as well. And I could tell there were bots because like the 1,500 followers I gained on Instagram, I immediately lost like within the span of 2 months. So it was like.
And then for the 9th inning Grand Slam, she finally addresses the allegations of her lying to Akaash about being a virgin before they met, doubling down that after 4 years of bopping around in the frat houses, that she was indeed a virgin when she first met Akaash.
When it's like, but the reality is what the reality is. It's like, I was a virgin when I met my husband. We lost our virginity to each other. Because when I was in college, I dated this guy. He was going down on me. Like, wouldn't you know it, I was still spotting. And also, if you're like poking around down there, like more blood can sometimes come out even if your period is over. And I swear to God, like I thought my period was done. And I never made that a part of my identity. I only shared that because I share my life story because I'm an oversharer. Y'all made it a part of my identity and then used it against me. I don't give a if I was a virgin or I wasn't, or if my body count was 100, but it wasn't. Those are just facts. So if you want to take like tongue-in-cheek videos and make it into something it's not, like that's not really a reflection of me, that's a reflection of them. And I think
So just based on how she stumbled around this topic, it almost seems like even she doesn't believe that super blatant lie, because she claims that it doesn't even matter whether or not she was a virgin, even though it seemed like a huge reason as to why Akaash married her in the first place. Because as a 30-year-old virgin, he took pride in the fact that he finally found his perfect match. Like, he was really the only guy that gave her that label.
Bria, I'm actively trying to have an orgy because this couple is so fucking good looking, and you haven't seen Nav yet, but wait till you fucking see him. His body goes crazy. His face card always slays, never declines.
That's a friend right here, and that was her husband. She want to have an orgy with them. Crazy.
And it's kind of weird because I'm talking about your husband.
So this whole podcast she did a month ago really just made everything worse for the two. But anyways, it looks like Akaash is actually in New York right now for one of his tour dates. So if he doesn't stop by the studio and shoot the podcast for the week that he's there, that will most definitely confirm that he's done with Flagrant for good. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching.
Good channel, man. Good channel, man. American React, man. This whole situation is wild. You know what I mean? You got your wife that you love that you thought was a virgin. I'm not sure if she's a virgin or not. You know what I mean? The stuff that she said online, nobody forced her to say that. I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I don't think she was a virgin when they met, dog. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think she was a virgin. You know what I'm saying? That's my opinion. You know what I mean? But I'm not him. So if he's happy, then it is what it is. But your wife coming online when you the face of that relationship, you know what I'm saying? You the breadwinner making money and stuff like that, and your wife online talking crazy, you're gonna lose some fans. You know what I mean? Not saying they hate you or hate your wife, but they really telling like, listen, your wife is talking crazy about you, man. You looking stupid in these streets. You looking stupid online. You know what I mean? So that is just crazy and all. And she kind of saying that it's other people that whatever I say is not true and all that stuff. And she don't care if she was a virgin or not. Like, what you mean you don't care if you wasn't a virgin or not? Like, your husband married you because you was a virgin, even though he loved you and all that stuff. But I'm just saying, like, you supposed to have been a virgin when y'all met. You know what I'm saying? Y'all both supposed to have been a virgin together when y'all had sex. So that would have been real special. You know what I mean? Now she talking crazy. And I'm gonna be honest with you. You kind of can tell on that radio station, Hot 97, when he was talking, he was hurt. He was really hurt by a lot of the stuff, man. Not just by the comments, but mostly by his wife, how she was talking crazy, you know. But then again, it's like they're married, and he's not gonna leave her. You know what I mean? So he's gonna sit up with this right here and soak it up. You know, it is what it is. But listen, y'all tell me what y'all think about this whole thing, man. This is wild, yo. Leave y'all comments in the section, yo. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all have a good one till next time. Peace.